Jai Hind to all. Myself Shikha Agarwal, Assistant Professor in IT Department in Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College. So students, today we are going to discuss about one important topic about the cloud computing, that is the cloud federation. In the case of cloud computing, when I'm talking about a cloud federation, this is one of the complex topic because because of using the federation system, we can easily create the environment in the case of cloud computing. So we can say, when I'm talking about the cloud federation, it means when we are interconnecting of cloud computing environment of having a more than two service providers, so that we can do the purpose for load balancing, so that we can accumulate the spikes in demand, and simultaneously we can manage the traffic onto the network. So this concept is called as a cloud federation. So for example, if I'm talking about public cloud environment, if we wants to create a big public cloud environment, so basically we are discussing that we have to talk about the environment through which we can create a system. So for example, if I can say, this is the one cloud service provider. Suppose this is a one cloud service provider, CSP, right? And simultaneously this is also a one cloud service provider, and when they both are interconnected with each other so that they can provide the services to the environment, then we can say it is called as a cloud federation. When I'm talking about the cloud federation, we can say the cloud federation requires a one provider which can work as an wholesale or which can provide the services on the rent basis, so that it can share the demands of the customers with their own providers, and those resources become a very temporary, or sometimes it is also on the basis of permanent extensions of the buyer's cloud, so that they can create a environment. And when I'm talking about the environment, first of all they have to undergo the SLAs. SLAs means service legal agreements. In that case, they have to provide the agreement between the providers so that they can fulfill the demand of their users. Once they have not created the we can say once they have not created goes into an SLAs, then we can say that they cannot provide the services, whether it is on the temporary basis or on the permanent extensions. Now after that, if I'm talking about the cloud service federations, basically it provides the two substantial benefits. The first, we can earn a revenue. Why? Because if I'm talking about the overall network, their resources is being available. Each and every service provider is providing the resources. So if there is no customer to that particular resource for the certain amount of time, in that case their resources is to be in ideal state, or they are underutilized. So we can say when they have created this type of an environment, by using that environment, that particular resources cannot be ideal, and simultaneously somewhere it is being generating the revenue also. So that is why we can say the first benefit is that it allow the providers to earn the revenue from the cloud computing resources that would be ideal or underutilized. The second benefit, if I'm talking about, that we can say the cloud federation, we can easily expand their footprints and accommodate under the certain spikes in demand, without in that case they don't have to build a new point of presence, because once the environment is already created, they know not to create their own environment, because every user, every customer, they know about them, and they can easily utilize their services if they are providing as per the customer's need. Fine. Though this is the way we can say we are providing the two benefits. Simultaneously, we can say whosoever is a provider, whosoever is a service provider in all the aspects of cloud federation, from the cloud provisioning, they can easily generate the billing systems, they can easily support their customers, and they are very transparent to their customers, because whatever the services they are providing, they can easily show on the public cloud only. And when I am talking about the federating cloud services with the partners, so in that case, first of all, they have to establish extensions of their customers facing services, but whatever the services is being required by the customers, they have to generate their levels. And before that, as I have already told you, that they have to go under the service level agreements into their partners, whosoever is providing the data centers. if I'm talking about the two providers, suppose, so in that case what happened, they both are interrelated with each other, their resources is being shared among themselves also. So first of all, they itself need to sign the service level agreement with their rest of the partners also, that we will provide the data onto the data centers. Now after that, we know, if I'm talking about the cloud federation, this is the way how we can create a cloud environment. And once we have created the cloud environment, we know what is the benefit of using that particular environment. Suppose if I say I have created a one environment using the federation system, and into that case, if I'm saying that that particular model is ready, so it particular provide the various types of services, resources, ease of deployment to the customers. So into that case, what are their benefits, what are their advantages? So the first advantage or a benefit is cost effectiveness. If I'm using the word cost effective, it means I'm talking about the financial problems. So if we have already created the federated cloud, basically this provides a large number of resources, because the resources is being shared among the providers, and it will be providing to the rest of the environment also. And simultaneously it will improve the cost, because the resources is being shared, it is already utilized every time, so that we can say it is being providing a improvement into the cost effective. Simultaneously it will provide the quality also. Quality not in terms of only providing the resources, but also in terms of customer relations. This also includes the improvement for both user as well as the provider, because if they provide in a cost effective manner, then we can say they can reduce the complex completion time, increasing their throughput and optimizing their resource utilizations. Fine. The second parameter is, so the second advantage is underutilize. If I'm talking about the word underutilize, it means the cloud can decide to provide the resources to the other clouds that realize that there is a data center which is underutilized at a given period of time. So each and every resource is being utilized, and whatever the resources they are providing, it is being shared among the other clouds also. Fine. The next is diverse geographical locations. If I'm using the word geographical, it means it is being spread in all over the centers of the worldwide, right? So in that case, we have to create the environment so that user can access their data, access their usage in anywhere from any location. So we can say, if I'm talking about the diverse geographical locations, in that case the cloud service providers establish the relationship with their data in the data center worldwide. So there is a possibility for the load sharing, and we can easily, once we are sharing the load among the different customers and service providers, and somewhere we can improve the performance of the system, right? The next is avoidance of a vendor lock-in. As in the previous lectures, we have studied about a vendor lock-in problem. So I will repeat what is a vendor lock-in problem. In the case of vendor lock-in problem, there is a problem that when the resources is being shared among the systems, and suppose there is a one vendor from where they are having an end customers, and suppose one customer is not satisfied with that provider, so it will be trying to move it into the another vendor, and in that case we are not giving a guarantee that whether the data is being deleted or not. So somewhere they are not satisfied with that. That situation is called as a vendor lock-in problem. But by using the concept of federation, it is very easy to maintain a avoidance of a vendor lock-in problem. Why? Because in this case we have already created the environment of a different service providers, and they all are providing the services in the common environment. So due to which, by using the federated concept, we are not more dependent onto the one service provider. We can easily, freely, you can say, transmit the workload among the different service providers to avoid the concept of vendor lock-in. In case the provider changes a policy or pricing that impact negatively, then easily the client can migrate from one provider to the another provider, but that is also the part of federated cloud computing. The next is better SLAs to the customers. SLA means we are talking about the service providers. Once we are talking about the service provider, we have to provide the better SLAs to the customers, because in this is the competitive world, And in the competitive world, whenever we are facing a lots of problems, in the case of where the customer where will run, the customer will run towards the quality, towards the cheapest cost, and somewhere, right? So that is why we have to generate that type of an SLAs, so that we can provide the better facilities to their customers. And in that case, whatever the agreement we are signing it, that includes everything related to that particular services. The next is guaranteed availability. Why I'm using the word guaranteed availability? Guaranteed availability means whenever something natural happens, like you can say unexpected disaster occur. So in that case, what happen? Whenever we are talking about the services providing to the providers, so in that case the customers will get all the services. This is the availability guaranteed. So in the case of federating, if I'm talking about during the unexpected disasters, the cloud system is able to recover all the services by using the federated with other service providers. Basically, when I'm talking about guaranteed availability, the main aim of the federated cloud service brokering is to receive a lot of attention in the fields of academic, industry, and in recently years. Because why? Because we are more focusing into the academic fields and industries for the development of the society. So that is why the environment whatever we have created, that is being focusing a more and more attention towards the academic areas and industry areas. Now the broker based on the federated cloud processing is an emerging concept in cloud based services. Then after that, if I'm talking about generating the environment, basically in this case we are creating a connects with the lots of technologies, protocols and languages, so that we can easily communicate with the customers and the service providers. Now, so after the advantages, we have gone through the 6 advantages related to the cloud service providers. Then after that, if I'm talking about the different levels or basic types of federations, so basically we can say it is being divided into the 4 categories. The first is permissive, the second is verified, the third is encrypted, and fourth is trusted. So these are the 4 levels of federation. Now you can see the permissive federation. If I'm talking about the permissive federation, in the case of permissive federation, basically it occurs when the server, if suppose I'm talking about a client server technology, suppose this is your client, and if I'm talking about this is your server, right? So whatever the services is being provided by the server, and whenever the client request, it means all the services is to be fulfilled. So in that case, whenever the server accepts a connection, because whatever the client wants to request, they always need to create a connection from a peer network servers without verifying its identity by using the DNS lookup, by using the certification checking. Fine. So you can say this is the permissive federation. In the case of permissive federation, first of all, we have to create the infrastructure level. How we have to establish that infrastructure? By using the certain protocols. We have to generate by using the interfaces. Then we have to use the programming interoperation languages. And finally, we have to use the federation platform reservoir for the infrastructure level. Once we have created the infrastructure, then after that we have gone through the logical and operations, how we have to provide the services, right? So first of all, we have to think about the pricing and marketing models, right? Because we want to exist into the market. So first of all, we have to check what is the pricing going on into the marketplace, so that we can provide it in the cheapest way. The second thing, we have to go under the service level agreements, whatever the agreements we need to sign. Then after that, we have to think about whosoever is a cloud service provider onto the federated environment. And finally, we have to talk about the federated level, in which we have to think how we have to generate that particular level. Then after that, we have what is the conceptual model, what is the concept behind generating this model. It motivates us, it provides the various advantages to the institutions. The second is we can easily use the obligations, we can easily generate the obligations if we are dissatisfied with the product, and simultaneously it also provides an opportunity. Fine. So after that, I'm talking about the permissive. Basically, in this case, there is one problem because we are not verifying its identity by using a DNS lookup, certificate checking. So, due to the lack of verification, any authentication may be let down to domain schooling, so that we can unauthorized to the third party domain in the form of emails in order to pretend to be someone else. So, if we send them email to us, there is a chances of problems into the system. Then after that, we are going to talk about the verified federation. If I am talking about the verified, because in the case of permissive, there is a problem for verifying its identity. So, due to which we are moving to the next federation system, which is called as a verified federation. Basically, this type of a federation occurs from a peer when it is being verified the user's information obtained by a DNS and also by means of domain specifies exchange before the hand. So, whenever we will not exchange the information before that, only we can obtain the information of the users. Then after that, the connection is not encrypted. The problem comes that the connection is not encrypted and the use of identity verification effectively presents the domains pooling for making his work easy. Then after that, if I am talking about the federation, then after that we have to create the proper DNS setup so that we can easily subjective towards the DNS visioning attacks. Whatever the attacks is being created, it will not to be subjective. So, due to which we have to create the proper DNS environment. Then in the last, we have to verify the federation that has already been the default service policy on the Open XMPP since the release of the open source JBoD 1.2 server. Now, if I am talking about the server, so there is a problem into that default service because it is being creating a default service policy in which we are facing the little bit verified federation problem. Now, after that, we are going to talk about the encrypted federation. In the case of encrypted, because in the previous case I have already told you the connection is not encrypted. So, again there is a one disadvantage in the case of verified federation, due to which we are going to talk about an encrypted federation. In the case of encrypted federation, basically the server accepts the connection from the one-to-one communication, but if only supports the peer in the case of transport layer security, as it is already defined in a request for comment 39200. Now, after that, we peer can prevent a digital signature, and that particular certificate is to be like self or signing the presence using the mutual authentication by both the parties. Even both the parties will sign into that agreement or the digital signature that verify the identity using the server dial pair. Then after that, by using the XEPO220, define the server dial-up protocol, which is being basically used between the XMP servers to provide the identity for the verification servers by using the pair of DNS, right? Now, the last is a trusted federation. When I am using the word trusted, it means we have to generate the trust between the authenticated server and simultaneously between the customers. So, by using that, we can say I am using the word certification authority in the case of trusted federation. So, here a server accepts a connection from a peer under by only going through the supports of the transport layer securities, right? And after that, they can present a digital signature which is being issued by the certification authority, and it is being trusted to the authenticated servers. Now, if I am talking about the various factors in the case of rooted CAAS, so we can say there are the various lists, like you can say operating system, XMPP server or local service policies, right? Now, in the case of trusted federation, we generally use the concept of digital signatures result not only in the channel encryption but also in the making the strong authentication. Fine. Now, this is all about the different types of federation. After that, we are going to talk about the what is the future of federation, why we are using it, what all are the services we are providing to the users, the service providers, so that the more and more customers are more satisfied with the system. So due to which, first of all, we should know what is the future of the federation, why we need to create the federation environment. As we all are aware that when I am talking about the cloud computing concept, we need more and more big clouds, so that once the environment is being created, we can provide the various types of services to their customers. For example, ease for the deployment, resource pooling, they can easily share the resources, cost effectiveness, and various environment. So by converting that particular services, so in that case, there are the services are now able to reach a wide range of customers, partners. There are the lot of competitors also. There are the public audiences also, those who are using it. So it is being clear that we require more and more storage area services. We need more and more power consumptions, and simultaneously we are available with the complete available of the resources and streaming analytics, and every time we need to do the analyzing of the data, and in the best way we can serve the environment, right, so that we can generate the proficiency of the service. So the first main method for providing the services or creating an environment is addressing. So addressing basically helps to create an environment is through the advent of the hybrid clouds. In the case of hybrid clouds, what is that hybrid clouds? Basically, it is being decomposed into a multiple distinct cloud infrastructures, so that enable all the services and data access to the combined infrastructure, right? Suppose if I am talking about, this is a one environment, this is a second environment, and this is the third environment, right? So these three are interrelated with each other, and they can provide the services to the users, right, in a combined form, so that we will get the benefit in the cloud systems. Now the question comes, when I am having a hybrid cloud is having a variety of benefits, the expansion of a cloud into a hybrid model may also risk increase, right? It is being exposure through the data exposure. There may be a problems for the violation of corporate policy. So this becomes a question for us, because we are combining the various clouds and we are trying to make a hybrid cloud. And if we are trying to create an hybrid cloud, somewhere there is a chances for the increase in risk. Risk not only in terms of data exposures, but also somewhere if someone corporate systems trying to expose the or violate the policies. Now this becomes the questions. So how do we the garner additive benefits of hybrid cloud minimizing the risk? So for minimizing the risk, the best answer is federation. With the help of the federation, you can simply reduce the risk of violations, data exposures. How you can do the solution is federation. By using the federation, you can create a hybrid cloud environment with the increased focus on maintaining the first parameter, that is the integrity of the corporate policies. The second is thinking of federation is a pool of cloud resources in which the various service providers are connected through a channels of gateways. So in the case of gateways, they are connected through the gateways. So with the help of the gateways, which can be optimized for the cloud service or set a specific services to that particular system. So in that case, whenever the audience will come or whenever the customers will come, or to limit the access specific sets, they are having a limited access to the specific data sets. Fine. So this is the way how we can remove the problems of the hybrid clouds. Okay. Then after that, in presence of the federation has the ability for the enterprise to service their audiences with economy of scale without exposing their critical applications. I believe the answer is no. Why? Because the fundamental changes transforms the enterprises. Every time to time we are making the changes into the system, and once we are making the changes into the system and we are talking about providing the services, then we are talking about the flexible environment which can be rapidly changes. So automatically as per the needs we need to change the policies also, and simultaneously we need to make the system automation. Then after that, we are going to talk about federated services and applications. There are the various federated services which is being provided by the federation system. So the first service is called as a ADFS. ADFS matlab Active Directory Federation Services. Basically it is a feature or a web service in the Windows Server operating system which allows the sharing of identity information, because in the previous cases we have focused more problems in the cases of identity, right? So that is why in this, by using this directory, we need to maintain the identity information outside the company's network. Now after that, in this case, what we have to do, we have to include the user's username and their passwords. So with the help of these applications, it can be provided on the local or on the cloud, or even there are the certain ways in which the companies can host it their parameter. So now after that, we should know, before we should know what is an ADFS. Basically ADFS क्या है? ADFS is a single sign-on solution, right? You need not to sign anywhere, you need not to sign the agreements with other providers or so on. Basically ADFS is a single sign-on solution which is being developed by the Microsoft and authorization team. As the components of the Windows Server operating system, it provides the users with authenticated access to the applications that are not capable of using the integrated Windows, right, or through the Active Directory. Now you can see how the ADFS works. Before that, I can explain you this diagram, how you are talking about the federation system. Now in this case, first of all, we are talking about there is an interaction between the user and the service providers. So fine, first of all, it will request for the access. Whether I am in a ready state, I want to request for the access of the data. So first of all, the user will request for the access for the data. Then once they have requested, initially it comes to the services and it will generate a token which is being providing to the user that we have request for the token. After that, once the token is being received by the user, that particular token by the user is being requested to the ADFS server. And once the token is being provided to the ADFS server, now it is the responsibility of the ADFS server to request for the authentication, right? So in that case, what happens? It will check into their own directory server. So by that case, it will send the request for the authentication in the directory server. If first of all, it will check into their directory. If the details of that particular token which is being issued is available, then it will send an acknowledgement in the form of authentication message. Fine. After that, once we are receiving an authentication message towards the ADFS server, then after that, once whatever the token they have requested, then after that the ADFS will issue the token to the complete to the user. Fine. And once the token is being received by the user, now the token is being received by the user. So now the user will send that particular token to their service providers or to the services, so that by using that token they can easily avail the services. Then after that, once the token will come towards the service provider, then it will grant that particular token. Now the user is in a ready state to work about the ADFS, right? So in that case, if I am talking about ADFS, that is why it is called as a single sign-on. Why it is single sign-on? Because whatever the services is being provided, every services is being accessed by the now user. Right? Then after that, we can say basically ADFS makes a use of claim-based access control authorization. Claims-based access control authorization. This particular model ensures that the security across the applications using a federated identity, and basically it is a process in which the user is identified by a set of claims related to their own identity, so that they can provide the identity, and simultaneously once they will get the secure token, they can easily access the data. Now the question comes, how the ADFS works. As I have already explained you with this example that how the ADFS works, but still we can check how the following steps will work. First of all, we have to talk about the authentication process by using the ADFS work. Now first of all, the user navigates to the service, for example a partner company website XYZ so on, to obtain the pricing or product details. Now after requesting to the website, it will request for an authentication token. Fine. So by getting that authentication token, request authentication token, the user requests to the ADFS server. Now it is the responsibility of the ADFS server to issue the token by containing a user's set of claims. Now user forward that particular token to their partner company website, and finally the website grants the authorization access to the user. Fine. So similarly the same steps is being written, whatever I have explained you in this topic. Now in the last, if I am talking about the ADFS components, as you can see in the complete structure, there are the various components. The first is Active Directory. What is the Active Directory? The directory which includes the complete information about the identity which is being used by the ADFS, and this is being stored on the Active Directory container. So basically directory stores the complete information about the users. The second, we are having a federation server. What is the importance of federation server? Basically it contains all the tools that is being needed to maintain or to manage the federated trust between the business partners. Basically it is being a process that is authenticating the request coming in from the external users and host the security on the services, which is being based on the verification of their credentials from the Active Directory. What are the credentials is being included in the Active Directory? And once we have issued the token to the user, so on the basis of that, how we can issue that token? It is being based on the Active Directories. So it will take the credentials from the Active Directory, then only it will issue the token. The next is Federation Server Proxy. Server proxy means basically it is being deployed as an extranet of the organization to which the external clients can connect when request a security token. Because if I am talking about an internal environment, it can be accessible by the any user, but if I want to create an external clients also, so in that case they have to request for the security tokens, and it forward all these requests to the federation server only. The federation server is not exposed directly to the internet, but to prevent the security risk. And the last is ADFS web server. If I am using the word ADS web server, basically it maintains or manages the security and tokens and simultaneously authentication cookies, send it for the authentication purpose. Now why ADFS is used by the organizations? Because in the case of organizations, all the organizations are connected through the online world, right? So in that case they need to have a challenge, how we can create an authentication environment. So that is why they are being used by the different organizations to maintain their trustful data, to maintain their authentication. Fine. Now how can be used in below scenarios? The first of all is if I am talking about a single sign on. In the case of single sign on, because there are there are the various users who want to access the applications locations on a different networks or in different organizations. So that is why in spite of facing to access to the internet facilities, there seems to be like a single sign on facility. The next is identity federation or identity management. Basically it gives the concept of users identity which is being centralized, right, and which is being providing the better security, cost effectiveness. Now this is an example of ADS 365 office. This is the office description, you can say this is an example in which we can use the ADFS concept. Now this is the way how the ADFS works. Similarly, suppose there is an user, first of all they have to sign on the Office 365 federated identity. Once they are being authenticated, then from the directory synchronization tool they are getting the user account and their passwords. By using that, then only they can have a premises for the directory. Fine. So there are the certain limitations for the FSD. Basically it is high cost of maintenance. The complexity is being increasing. Somewhere it is not user friendly for the management dashboards or managing groups, and there are the certain security issues. We cannot directly access the Active Directory all the resources. Sometimes ADFS does not support the remote desktop connections and so on. So this is all about the federation, and thank you so much. Jai Hind.